There are 4 adults living in this house. One of them owns it. In the official home ownership rate, this house counts as a win. So does this one, and this one, and this one. 65.3% of America owns their home. You have heard that number your entire life. It shows up in every housing debate, every election, every argument about whether your generation is doing badly or just complaining. And it has never once been measuring people. It measures houses. 2 weeks ago, 3 economists at the Minneapolis Fed recounted it. Person by person instead of door by door. The number is 53%. And for adults under 35, it isn't 37, it's 22. Here is how a number that big gets that wrong. The official rate comes from the Census Bureau, and the unit it counts is the housing unit, not the person, the house. The census knocks on a door and asks one question: is this home owned or rented? If it's owned, the entire address goes in the owned column. Everyone inside it is represented by a single answer, which works fine when a house holds 1 owner or 2. It stops working the moment it doesn't. A 27-year-old moves back into her parents' spare room. Nothing about the national homeownership rate changes, not by a fraction of a point. On paper, the country looks exactly the same as it did the week before. Do that 9 million times, and the country still looks exactly the same. The statistic is not lying on purpose. It is structurally incapable of seeing what happened. So the Minneapolis Fed built a second measure. Same data, 19 years of the American Community Survey. But the denominator is adults instead of addresses. They call it the homeowners to population ratio. Nationally, 53% against the official 65%. The 12-point gap is one specific group of people. 13.9% of American adults live in a home that somebody owns, and that somebody is not them. Adult children in their parents' houses. Parents in their adult children's houses. Siblings, cousins, roommates on a lease that isn't theirs. 12 points of the most quoted number in American housing is made of people who are counted as inside the house and not as owners of it. Now, hold the measure still and run it through time. Take a single 25-year-old. In 2006, 20% of 25-year-olds owned a home. By 2015, it was 12. Today, it's 14. Read that carefully because this is the whole video. That is not a recovery. 2 decades on, a 25-year-old is still 6 points below where a 25-year-old stood before the financial crisis. And the financial crisis is old enough now to have its own kids. And the gap isn't evenly spread. In North Dakota, the 2 measures are within 4 points of each other because only about 10% of young adults there live with their parents. Nationally, that figure is 30%. In Hawaii, the gap between the 2 measures is almost 19 points. The more expensive a place is, the more the official number flatters it. Now, I want to be careful here, because there's a version of this video that overstates it, and I'd rather you trust me in 6 months. 53% does not mean half the country failed at housing. This measure counts every adult. That includes the 19-year-old in a dorm. It includes the 80-year-old who sold her house and moved in with her son, which is a normal and often good outcome. Nobody expects either of those people to hold a deed. So the headline number is not the point. The trend is the point. Because when you compare a 25-year-old in 2006 to a 25-year-old in 2024, you are using the same ruler on the same person at the same age. That comparison is clean, and it's down. Which leaves you with something more useful than outrage. If you are under 35 and you do not own a home, you have spent years being measured against a figure of 37% and quietly concluding you're behind. You were being compared to a number that counted houses your friend's parents bought in 1998. The real figure for your age group is 22%, roughly 1 in 5. That does not make a mortgage cheaper. 30-year rates are still near 6.5%, and nothing in this video changes what a down payment costs. What it changes is the baseline. You were not failing a test that most people pass. You were failing a test that most people your age also do not pass. And the scoreboard was built in a way that hid them. Bad measurements don't just describe the world incorrectly. They tell you who you are compared to everyone else. 65% said, something is wrong with you. 53% says, something is wrong with the count. Only one of those is worth reorganizing your life around. Knowing the baseline doesn't buy the house, a plan does. I put together the Tabletop Money Blueprint. Organizing your income, building a budget that survives contact with real life, paying down debt, and starting to invest. It's linked below.